Hello, today we are going to solve Jan 2025 paper question number 5 part C. Okay, prepare the income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st December 2024. So let's calculate what is the income. Okay, so if you are able to see, this is a bank account. From this we will know what is the most of the income and expenditure. You can write. So we will know that there is an annual subscription, there was 10-year subscription income, there was donations that came into the business, and then there was a sale of grass cutter. So we have to see whether it has generated a profit or a loss, and then we have to include if it was a profit, you will include it here. Otherwise you will include it as a loss, means it becomes expense. Then from the price, okay, there was price that was distributed, and because of that you will have to see what was the profit or the loss generated by the price. Then we have expenditure, we have wages, okay, we have the rent, we have the depreciation of the grass cutter. Okay, depreciation of grass cutter we have to calculate because it's an asset. And then there was a sale of grass cutter, we have to see whether it was a loss or a profit. Okay, if there is a loss you will put, and if there was a profit on the sale of grass cutter, you will put on the profit, okay, as an income. So for now you don't know. Then electricity and water. Electricity and water is an expense, repair is an expense. So all these are expenses. So you will have to write, okay. Let's prepare the income and expenditure account. So the first one was, okay, income and expenditure account. So the first one was annual subscription. Annual subscription had already been prepared. One account was prepared, and then we know that 4,000 was transferred to the income statement. So let's write 4,000. Okay, let's write 4,000. Then there was 10-year subscriptions. Okay, let's prepare the account for this also. So the 10-year subscription states that, okay, the 10-year subscription, let's calculate. So here it states that at the beginning, okay, at the beginning there was 2,800. Okay, at the beginning there was 2,800, and in the December it had become 3,500. So beginning balance. So at the beginning the balance was, okay, this is like an income account, so let's write. So at the beginning balance was 2,800, and at the end the balance had become 3,500. Okay, 3,500, and towards the 10-year subscription you had got 1,400. So bank 1,400. So let's write, okay, let's add up 2,800 plus 2,800 plus 1,400. 2,800 plus 1,400, that is 4,200. Okay, 4,200. And okay, but the balance had become 3,500. We don't know how many members took the 10-year subscription, so we have to just use the balances. Okay, though it is they are asked to pay 10-year period advance. Okay, so 4,200 minus 3,500, that is equal to 700 probably. Okay, that must alone be transferred to the income statement. Income statement it will be 700. Okay, now let's calculate. Okay, that let's write the amount, the income from the annual subscription that would be transferred would be 700. Okay, this would be the income from the 10-year subscription. Then donations. The donations were at 3150, and there is no other information related to donations. Okay, so you just write 3150. So 33150. Then price from the profit giving evening. Okay, we will have to calculate what is the price from the profit giving given evening. It was already calculated in the previous question. It is 75. So let's write 75. And then you have, okay, grass cutter, it was sold. Okay, the grass cutter was sold for 650. So the grass cutter was sold for 650. In the bank we would have got 650. Now let's calculate its actual carrying value. Okay, if it is less or more than that, then we will assess it as a loss or a profit. So the carrying value of a grass cutter will be equal to, it is said that it had a cost of 1500 minus its total accumulated depreciation was 700, so it had a carrying value of 800. So actually they should have sold for 800, but they have sold for 650, so they have made a loss is equal to 800 minus 650. So we can write that. So it has made a loss. So the loss is around 650, 150. 800 minus 650, that is equal to 150 was the loss made. Now there was no profit, so I will just write nothing. Okay, there was no profit. Then it was a loss. Then let's add the total income. So the total income is going to be equal to the total income, okay, is going to be equal to 4000 plus 4000 plus 700 plus 3150 plus 75, that is 7925. So it is equal to 7925. Now let's calculate the expenses. Okay, this was the total income. Now let's calculate the expenses, wages. So the wages, what had happened was, it was 3450. Okay, let's write that. So it was 3450. And then was there any other changes to the wages? We have to see. Okay, 1/3 of the wages are for the prize giving evening. Okay, 1/3 of the wages was included in the prize giving evening. So we have to subtract minus 1/3. Okay, 1150. I will subtract that. So the total wages paid was 3450. Okay, and he says that 1/3 of the wages was used in the 1/3 of the wages was used in the prize giving evening. So the total wages will be, okay, the total wages that was paid, but we have incorporated some amount in the price giving, okay, as a part of expense. That's why here some wages we would have put here already shown as expense part. So we will only include the remaining wages. Okay, the total wage was 3450, but some of it has been included here. So some would have been included only that much. The remaining we have to include it here. Okay, so let's include that. So the remaining would be 2300. So 2300. So let's calculate that. Then we have the rent. Okay, the rent information given is, it is 1000. Okay, 1000. And was there any other information about the rent? There is nothing, so we will include that. Okay, and then we have the depreciation of the grass cutter. Depreciation of the grass cutter will be equal to the opening. Okay, opening minus closing carrying values. They have given the opening and the closing net book values. So 12,000 minus 10,500. So that is equal to, so that value is equal to 12,000 minus 10,500. So that is equal to 1,500. And now there was a sale of this grass cutter. Okay, whose carrying value was around 800. Okay, the carrying, so we have to subtract the carrying value of the grass cutter, value of disposal. So the carrying value of the disposal has to be done. So 1500, 1500 minus 800, that is equal to 700. Okay, so let's put the depreciation of the grass cutter. It will be around 700. And then we have the loss of the grass cutter, which we had calculated. Now let's calculate the electricity and water together. Okay, electricity and the water, we had, the business had paid 1050. Okay, it's an expense account. Then it had an arrears and water balances. So let's prepare the account. Okay, here it's saying, okay, here it is saying that the balance at the beginning for the water had some advance, right? So it had some advance. So what was the advance? The balance was, okay, this is an expense account. It has to start, okay, dead click, okay, electricity. So the balance was, balance, balance was 120. Okay, anything paid for, this is an expense account. Okay, so anything paid, prepaid will appear on this side, and anything owed or the arrears, okay, is going to appear on the opposite side. Okay, so advance is prepaid, so balance was 120, and it also had an ending advance balance, okay, of 160. Then it had electricity in arrears. Okay, electricity in arrears were at 80. Electricity in arrears were at 80. So let's write that. So we have electricity in arrears, balance was at 80. So we have to write this balances on both the sides. Okay. And then we have some amount was paid towards that. Okay, it is appear on the it is appearing on the credit side. So the bank, okay, that bank value which was paid for electricity and this thing was around 1050. Okay, so let's write that also. Now let's add up on both the sides and see how much is going to go into the income statement. Okay, so 120 plus, you add up this 120 plus 1050 plus 80, that should be equal to 1250. So that is the value you will put it in the as the total 1250 on both the sides. Okay, so it is 1250. So 1250, then 1250 minus 160 will go into the income statement. So it is going to be 1250 minus 160, that is equal to 1090. 1090 will go into the income statement. So let's put that value. Okay, let's put that value. So it is 1090. So electricity and the water, okay, income account will be 1090. And then there was repairs. Repairs also there is no other information. So this expense was around 755. So let's include that expense. Okay. So let's include the expense for the repairs as 755. 755. Now let's add up all the expenses. So the expenses will be equal to 2300 plus 1000 plus 700 plus 150 plus 1090 plus 755. That is equal to, that is equal to 5995. Plus 700 plus 150 plus 1090 plus 755. So that value is equal to around 5995. Okay, let's write that value. So 5995 will be equal to, okay, 5995. Now let's calculate the surplus or the deficit for the club. Okay, so what happens is, we see a surplus. It was 7925. 7925 minus 5995, that is equal to 1930 is the surplus which they have been able to get. 1930 is the surplus.